My name is Sam, and I'm 23 years old. My journey has been a complex one, especially over the past few years. 2 years ago, my girlfriend Zoe, who is also 23, left me for another guy. She said she needed to be sure I was the right one for her. This decision devastated me. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment choice. Earlier that year, we were both in college, having been together for 6 years by then. Unbeknownst to me, Zoe had started talking to a guy in one of her classes. Their feelings grew over time. She assured me that she never cheated or met him outside of class, but they did exchange many texts leading up to her decision. As the semester ended, Zoe sat me down and revealed that she was going to spend the summer with this guy. He had just graduated, was moving to a new city, and had an apartment lined up. She planned to stay with him for June and July, then return for our senior year. She handed me her phone, offering to let me read all their messages to prove she hadn't done anything wrong physically. I was heartbroken. I loved her deeply and pleaded with her not to go. Zoe tried to comfort me, but she was determined. She felt we needed to explore other relationships since we had only ever been with each other. She repeatedly told me she still loved me, saw a future for us, and this was just to be certain. She even encouraged me to date others during her absence. 5 days after that conversation, she left. I was shattered. I buried myself in work and isolated from everyone. I barely ate or slept and lost a significant amount of weight. Zoe asked me not to contact her, and I respected her wish. Living in our shared apartment was a constant reminder of her absence, making it the most painful period of my life. I knew Zoe would return, if not for me, then at least to finish her degree. And she did come back a week earlier than expected. One Sunday, she showed up at our apartment. When she saw me, she broke down in tears. I had lost so much weight, my eyes were sunken, and I've looked unkempt. The apartment wasn't filthy, but it wasn't well maintained either. She saw the toll her decision had taken on me, and we both cried for a long time. She apologized deeply and told me she now realized that she wanted to be with me and only me. Despite the hurt, I was ready to take her back. The weeks following her return were tense but filled with effort to rebuild our relationship. We spent a lot of time together, but there was always this unspoken tension. About a month in, I started experiencing anxiety attacks. This forced us to finally address the issues we had been avoiding. Unfortunately, it coincided with the start of our senior year, adding to the stress. Over the next 9 months, I spiraled into deeper depression. I became verbally harsh at times. Zoe, however, always took my words without complaint. She constantly tried to reassure me, taking full responsibility for the situation. I frequently questioned what I lacked, why I wasn't good enough, and what I could do better. Zoe consistently told me that I was wonderful as I was and that her decision was due to her own immaturity, not because of any shortcomings on my part. We discussed her time away. She admitted to having a full romantic relationship with him during those weeks. They went on dates, slept in the same bed, and shared intimate moments. Knowing the details was incredibly painful, especially because I had thought those things were unique to us. The hardest part to accept was her confession that she returned early because their relationship faced a hurdle. He was offered a job in a different city much farther away, and they decided it wasn't worth pursuing long distance. So he told me she had mixed feelings about continuing with him, which led her to come back to me. A year ago, my triggers and outbursts continued, though less frequently. Zoe always responded with support and understanding, until one day she couldn't hold back her tears. She said she deserved my anger but couldn't endure it any longer. I realized then that I was on the brink of losing her again. The thought terrified me. I resolved to suppress my lingering feelings and stop bringing up the past. I wanted to preserve our relationship, so I pretended everything was fine, even though it wasn't. 6 months later, we got engaged. 2 weeks ago, we got married. Over the past year, Zoe has been the perfect partner. I've regained my trust in her, and she goes out of her way to show her love and support. My life has been on an upward trajectory. At work, I've been excelling, taking on challenging projects and earning a promotion with a significant raise. I've also committed to a regular exercise routine and a healthy diet, reaching a level of fitness I never thought possible. I make a point to spend quality time with Zoe. Even if we're just relaxing at home, I do little things she enjoys, like massaging her shoulders or playing with her hair. The response from Zoe has been amazing. She is affectionate and attentive, and we enjoy spontaneous trips together. Our emotional connection is strong and fulfilling. However, I realize that my drive at work, in the gym, and in our relationship stems from a deep-seated fear. I'm terrified that if I don't keep pushing myself, Zoe might leave me again. I sometimes check up on the guy she was with, comparing our lives. I need to reassure myself that I'm more successful and in better shape than he is. I don't want Zoe to feel bad, especially after how I treated her in the first year we got back together, but it's exhausting to keep up this relentless pace. I'm constantly afraid that if I let my guard down even for a moment, I'll lose her. I try to stay focused and cherish the moments of peace we have. I hope that by doing so, I can ensure that no one ever takes my place again. Zoe and I recently celebrated our 1-year wedding anniversary, and I couldn't be happier with how our relationship is flourishing. We just bought our first house, and every day, Zoe tells me how lucky she feels to have such a wonderful husband. I've been working extra hard to ensure our life together is as smooth and joyful as possible. At work, I landed a significant bonus, which was a fantastic boost for us. Zoe's job is also going well, although she's been under a lot more stress lately. To help lighten her load, I've taken on more responsibilities at home. I make it a point to wake up a bit earlier each morning to tidy up the house before we leave for work. Zoe once mentioned that the guy she briefly dated was quite meticulous about cleanliness. Although she described it as something that added pressure, I gather that she appreciated having a tidy environment. So I make sure our home is always clean and organized. This way, Zoe doesn't have to worry about it or feel pressured by any mess she might leave behind. It's a small effort that's making a big difference in our lives. For our anniversary, we took a dream vacation to Hawaii, a place we had always talked about visiting. We indulged in some tourist activities, but mostly, it was a chance for me to catch up on much-needed sleep. Normally, I only get about 4 to 6 hours a night, so the extra rest was a luxury. This downtime was crucial, especially since I recently took on a major client at work. If I handled this project well, it could lead to another promotion, which would be a great step forward for us. Interestingly, I don't find myself checking on the guy as often anymore. From what I can tell, his career hasn't progressed as rapidly as mine, and he's put on a bit of weight. Knowing that I'm ahead in both my professional and personal life gives me confidence that he's no longer a threat. Zoe recently mentioned that she's been thinking about starting a family soon, which is an exciting prospect for us. We're financially stable, and it feels like the right time to take that step. However, I've been having some thoughts and would love your perspective on them. Zoe has grown quite close with an older coworker, Mrs. Weaver. They often chat about various topics, and Mrs. Weaver has shared some endearing stories about her pregnancies, including how her husband was incredibly supportive despite making some amusing mistakes. Zoe described these stories as sweet, which made me think about how our priorities might be shifting. It dawned on me that being fit and successful might not be enough anymore. I need to be the best possible partner in every aspect, especially if we're considering starting a family. To prepare, I've started reading books on how to support your spouse during pregnancy and early parenthood. I squeeze in this reading during breaks at work or listen to related podcasts while working out. I want to be ready to provide the best support I can for Zoe during this new chapter of our lives. Sometimes, I worry if I'm overthinking things, especially about Zoe's interactions at work. There's even a single dad at her office, and while I don't know much about him, the fact that he's a single parent seems like a red flag to me. But unlike him, I believe I'm all green flags, stable, supportive, and committed. Do you think I have anything to worry about? Or am I just over-preparing and overthinking? I'm eager to hear your thoughts.